The next week felt like a month. Time flowed like tar in our desolate cabin, which was unbearable. Every time I returned home, I expected to hear Arsonic's husky voice, but then reminded myself of what had happened. Veronica tried her best to keep our usual lives going, but what could she really do? We were quickly descending into a bottomless abyss. I barely saw Yura anymore. He left early in the morning and returned right before sunset. I was happy about that. We sort of made up, but there was still some unspoken awkwardness between us. I had no energy to deal with this right now. Nika snored peacefully by my side. I stood up carefully as to not wake her up and went out of the bedroom. I had business to attend. Where should I go? To that ravine? It didn't make sense. Nobody ever gets caught there. Should I check the usual route then? I could do that, but there was a chance I could run into Yura, and I didn't want that right now. The stream. The deer wandered there. Yes, that stream sounds like a good idea. It's far enough for me to think plenty about everything that had been going on, and what I was going to do next. The deer was in no rush to show itself to us, and Yura brought less and less meat. Yes, we will be able to last longer with just 3 mouths to feed, but our supplies will eventually run out. I need to find it quicker. Misha? She stood in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. Why are you up so early? Good morning. I'll, go into the stream into the forest early today. I want to search for tracks around the stream. Maybe you should stay home today. I can't, sweetie. You know how things are right now. We need to find the deer as soon as possible. I see. So you're going to spend even more time in the forest now? She shut her eyes for a moment. There aren't many animals near the stream, you know. I don't know what. We're running out of food. I know. Maybe you should check other traps, where the chance of finding something is higher. Or we could go west together, gather some mushrooms. Yura can't handle everything alone. Let's not go there. We've discussed this many times. In the beautiful tomorrow, we won't have problems like that, I know. But we also need to eat something right now. Even if we have to forego food for a while, searching for the deer is the top priority. We'll deal with the food situation later. Veronica didn't reply, just scorched me with her eyes. I simply waved my hand in reply. Trying to explain anything to her was useless right now. Bad idea, bro. Bad idea. Evergreen paws stood in my way from time to time, but I moved them aside and continued onward. My fear toward the forest dissolved completely. I only needed to find that damn deer and get out of here. I'll become happy together with Nika. Nika. Why doesn't she understand how important this is? That we have an eternity ahead of us in a better place than this. That living in the forest is impossible. Isn't she scared after all? I'm doing my best for both of us. I don't want to become food for the forest creatures like Arsonic. Where are you? I almost got to the stream without noticing anything out of the ordinary. No deer, no hoofprints, no broken branches. I didn't want to get too close to the stream. The temptation to try that cursed water again was just too big. Maybe I should look for the tracks near the stream. The clearing. I slapped my forehead. Why didn't I think about that? Why didn't I think of that before? Legs carried me toward a guild of rose bushes on their own. I listened closely. A small rustle was coming from behind them. Was the deer back? I carefully spread the branches, trying not to scare away my ticket to the beautiful tomorrow, and looked around. Shit. It wasn't the deer. Right in the middle of the clearing sat a small soot-black creature munching on something. Yuck. A gentle breeze blew my way, and I sensed a faint smell of spices. An unpleasant, anxious feeling spread inside me. I picked up a branch from the ground and walked towards the creature, right through the bushes. Go away! Shoo! Go away, I tell you! The creature squeaked in annoyance and disappeared into the thicket. I bent down and poked the chewed-out meat with the sticks. Is it cured? Why is a piece of cured... Damn it. I turned around and ran home. There wasn't a single soul apart from us in these parts, which meant this meat is from our cellar. I had no doubt that Yura was feeding the forest beasts. There was no other option. Why was he doing that? Did he get tired of living? Creatures could be anywhere now thanks to that arsehole. Fear and rage filled me more and more with every step I took. The cabin. I'm not too late. My insides started boiling when I heard voices coming from behind the door. The bastard was back. He was alone with my wife. Step away from her. What happened? I told you to step away. Misha, what is... You don't know what he has done. Yura's expression changed for a brief moment. I could only envy his self-control. He walked up to me slowly. And what have I done? Do you want to keep playing dumb? Do you have any idea what I saw in the forest? I don't. Yura spoke calmly, and his hands poked about as if searching for something. Something to defend himself with. A creature right around our house, eating meat from our supplies. Do you think it somehow managed to get into the cabin? Don't worry, I'll hang a lock. Stop lying! You bring them food! Our food! Yura didn't move a muscle, but I had no need for his confession. I've been wondering about why they wanted so far from the thicket for a while. What made them cross the border and almost got to our home? How could that bear even find our cabin? Turns out there was an easy answer for all that. I poked Yura's chest with my finger. You let them here. What? You won't even let me defend myself? I shook my head. I won't. I see. I thought we were friends. That you'd at least listen to my explanation. Friends? You harass my wife, you steal from us. Arsonic's death is your fault alone. Something heavy crashed against my chin at high speed. My blood was boiling. I threw a punch back at Yura. He staggered his back and ended up against the table. I gave him no breaks and hit him again, and again, and again. Yura shrank and covered his head with his hands. I tackled him, pushed him to the floor. Yura fell, bringing the table down along with him. I stopped thinking, just focused on hitting him. Hitting him. Yura wailed and kicked me without looking. I gasped and slashed. He kicked me right in the stomach. Yura was able to catch a small break. He sprang up and ran to the other side of the table. We stared at each other, our breathing ragged and uneven. I didn't know what to do next. I only wanted to hit Yura again. I wanted to vent my frustrations. Killing you won't be enough, you piece of shit! Stop it! Yura looked at Veronica and suddenly dashed towards the door. Wait! but Yura was already running toward the forest. A couple of moments later, he had already disappeared among the trees. "Are you two out of your mind?" Nika stared at the wide-open door in confusion. The forest bared its pointy teeth at us through the doorway, as if inviting us to follow Yura and repeat Arsonic's fate. "Where is he running to?" I slammed the door shut. Rage still boiled in my chest. He ran to his new friends. It's for the best. "What are you doing? Attacking him out of the blue, blaming him for Arsonic's death? How could you do that? You don't get it, Nika. He has been feeding those ugly things. I saw them eating meat from our supplies. If not for him, the beasts couldn't have crept so close to us." I sat on the sofa and started massaging my temples. My thoughts were still jumbled. "How hard did he hit you? Are you hurt?" "Not too bad, just a couple of bruises." Nika disappeared into the kitchen, but seconds later she returned with a piece of wet cloth and handed it to me. "Misha, why do you always get into fights without trying to figure out what's really going on? He wanted to explain things to you and you didn't even want to listen." She sighed in disappointment and sat beside me. "We can't lose Yura as well. You know it." Good riddance. I swore through gritted teeth and put the cloth against my chin. My cheek felt cold. He hasn't been his usual self lately. He argued with everybody, he tried to hit on you. Now this. I don't know why he would risk feeding creatures like this, though. Yura wouldn't have done that without a valid reason. We need to get him back. No way, I'm not going after him. Stop it. Stop acting like a child. You went too harsh on him, and now you're just being stubborn. Nika. What? You refused to listen to him, accused him, and then hit him. Fine. I'm sorry. Let's go look for him before it gets dark. He should still be somewhere nearby. Yura! Yura! The only reply we got was the forest's echo. Yura, come back! Nothing, only the sound of the wind that wandered among the pines. Veronica curled her lips. You will be okay, right? Of course. Yura's a hunter, remember? He used to spend whole nights in the forest and returned unharmed. Besides, it's still early in the day. I'll get over it and return before sunset. You'll see. Yura didn't return before sunset. Neither did he return on the next day. A week had passed, but Nika and I still didn't lose hope for his return. We went to the porch every evening instead of the thicket. What if he was somewhere nearby? What if he needed our help? Maybe we should go deeper. I doubt it will help. It's been a week. Nobody can last that long alone in the forest. What are we going to do today? I never thought I would one day ask that question in the forest. Nika prohibited me from going deeper in the forest, and I didn't want to argue with her. All that was left for me to do was checking traps near our cabin and gathering mushrooms and berries. The food was sparse, but just enough for the two of us. Nika was in good spirits. It even seemed like she was happy. She worked hard for our well-being, but all I could feel was emptiness. There was no more backgammon games in the evening. No more singing and playing the guitar. I tried to tune it and play something a couple of times, but it didn't go well. I can't take it anymore. What do you mean? We're here to catch the deer. I can't sit still anymore. We need to at least try catching it. For Arsonist's and Yura's sake, for our sake at the very least. It's impossible with just the two of us. We can't do it. So what's your solution? Wall ourselves off from the outside world and keep pretending to be happy? Pretending? So that's how you see our life. Yes, you can't lead a normal life in this hellish place. We can't stay in one place. If we're destined to die here, I'd rather die hopeful. Veronica sat beside me inside. Do you really want to do it? She squirmed a little after locking eyes with me. Well, okay. Go into the forest tomorrow. Can you promise me something? I hugged Anika's shoulder and kissed her on the forehead. Anything you say. If tomorrow you don't see the deer, promise me that you will give up. She lowered her head to study the peculiar wood patterns of the tabletop. We've been in grave danger since the day we were born. Let's not make it even worse. After all, while we still have each other, things aren't that bad. For the first time in my life, a simple and pleasant thought appeared in my mind. I wanted to lie to Nika. She's been so confused lately, saying so many silly things. Nothing bad will happen if I just tell her what she wants to hear. All right. I promise. I stood up from the table. Are you going to head out right now? No way. I still value my life. I'm going to bed. I need to recharge my batteries before venturing out. She replied with a weak hand wave. Okay, all right. I'll stay here for a while. Good night. Good night. Are you sure you want to go? I was checking the contents of my backpack. A folding knife, a lasso. Wait. She rushed to the kitchen. A small package ended up in my backpack after a minute of waiting. You forgot to take food. Thanks. I hugged my wife, but it felt like she didn't even notice. Nika just kept on nervously twirling a lock of her hair, looking away from time to time. You should stay. What if... She stumbled. It was for the best. I also didn't have the courage to tell her everything that was on my mind. What if those creatures no longer fear the light? What if they're already waiting at our doorstep? What if I catch the deer, after all? What if I fail to lead it to the cabin and it runs away? Say no more. I need to go. Return safe and sound. I'll be waiting. Don't worry, I will. I kissed her and stepped outside the cabin. The forest stood before me like a thorny wall. There, somewhere among the trees, wandered my ticket to the beautiful tomorrow. I just need to find it. Sounds quite simple. Alright. It's time. Dad always said that if you look your fears in the eye long enough, you'll eventually get rid of them. I wonder, was he scared when the forest took him? Was he scared when he ventured deep into the thicket? I always got dizzy from how stuffy and dark the forest was, but now I was walking down a path and I felt dry branches cracking under my boots. I felt the stinging evergreen needles. I felt that the deer was somewhere close. I just wanted it to show itself and take me far away from here. How many close friends do you need to lose to finally gain happiness? Do I even deserve a place do I even deserve a place in the beautiful tomorrow? All this time I'd been living hoping for the future, neglecting the present. I was an idiot for never paying attention to Veronica and arguing with friends, thinking that things will just get better. And I think that's kind of the moral of this game. Like that line. Oh no. I never know how to get... There we go. Like, that message of, like, stop thinking about the future and neglecting the present. I think that's kind of the moral of the game. Nick was right. Who cares where we spend our lives as long as we're together? Grandma always said, you can live in a ditch with someone you love. What if I can be happy being with my wife here, in a cabin deep in the forest? Why am I even wandering in the semi-dark, looking for the deer? You're having this realization now? It's a bit late, bud. I've got to learn when to stop. I need to get into the beautiful tomorrow. Give up. Continue onward. Return home. I can't give up. Enough. My head was splitting apart from these thoughts. I looked around. My legs carried me deep into the forest on their own. The ravine that looked like a giant mouth with rotten stakes for teeth waited for the right moment to devour me. Just like I thought, there was nothing on the stakes. No deer, no creatures, nothing. Hello there, Misha. I shuddered and turned around. Yura stood behind me. How is this possible? He smiled like nothing ever happened and stretched his hands towards me. His hunter's uniform was torn, adorned with giant holes. Camouflage cloth was smeared with soil and blood. We thought you were dead. How did you survive here? Don't be silly, Misha. I'm a hunter, remember? The conditions are tough, but livable. He took a step towards me. I backed up. Yura let out a theatric yawn and fixed his coat. That water is my only salvation. Are you still drinking it? He burst out laughing and got in my face. It's easy to go crazy in this forest. Everything around us is so grim and dangerous. It makes living much easier, even if it's becoming harder and harder to get it. He sighed. I took a step back, too close to the ravine's edge. Can you imagine? Those ugly bastards are now preventing me from going to the stream. I had to bring them meat to win enough time for collecting water. I tried taking small batches at a time to keep our supplies safe, but then... Yura suddenly kicked me in the shin. I lost balance for a moment and saw the deathly grey sky above. Bam! I landed on the ground at the bottom of the ravine. Pointy stakes poked out of the ground all around me, but by some miracle I managed to avoid all of them. What are you doing, you bastard? Yura leaned over the ravine. I could barely make out his face because of the fog. I'm sorry, Misha. When they ate Pops... What? My voice cracked. Yura watched Arsonic die? I didn't want that to happen. How was I supposed to know it was him hiding in the bushes? Those creatures crawled here. I was just defending myself. You piece of shit. I barely survived. Maybe his talisman worked, I don't know. Maybe they went for the easier prey. You can't even imagine what I felt back then. I ran and heard them tearing Pops apart. My whole body felt sore. I propped myself up with trembling hands and tried to stand up, only to fall back to the ground. And then, the creatures stopped eating our meat. They wanted human flesh, those picky bastards. He spat right into the ravine. Arsenic calmed them down for a while, but now I can't get to the stream unhindered again. Look how hard they got me. What are you doing, Yura? Help me get out of here. We'll find the deer together, and you won't need to feed those creatures again. We can get out of here and be happy, you hear? No. Your deer is just a pile of bullshit. How long have we been chasing it through the thicket? Have we ever seen it? People just made it up to keep at least some of their sanity in this hell. That water, on the other hand, is real. It's the only way to become happy here and now. He went into a long, loud coughing fit. But don't feel bad, okay? For what? Yura's whistle echoed through the thicket and the ravine's walls. Something woke up and started moving in the forest. Don't fret, Misha. I'll take good care of Veronica. He took one last look at the other side of the ravine and ran away. God damn. So he was fucking right about this motherfucker feeding the creatures. That's nuts. The thicket shook, squeaked, and howled. A single thought overshadowed both Yura and the cruel truth in my mind. I was going to get killed. Sawn to pieces. Eaten alive. I grabbed a root that poked out nearby. I pulled myself up. All of my muscles cried out in unison. Ah! It hurt. It hurt too much. Small creatures were already running along the ravine's edge, trying to find a way to descend. Deep howls of bigger creatures could be heard in the dark. Oh. I grabbed the root again, leaned back against one of the stakes. Slowly. I must not slide down. Heave-ho! I jumped, pushed myself off the ravine's wall. Heave-ho! Bit higher. The creatures huffed and hissed behind me. Come on. Heave-ho! Just one jump. I need to cling to the edge or I was done for. Breathe in, breathe out. My stomach was in knots. I was in a freefall for a moment. The creatures behind my back howled and started jumping into the ravine. I bumped my chest against the edge and started grasping at everything I could. My fingers left burrows in the soil. They tore up grass. Creatures at the bottom clanged to their teeth. They waited for their prey to fall back down. I felt like every muscle in my body was about to snap. Come on. One of my legs felt hot. One of the creatures chewed into my shin. I kicked it frantically without looking. And again. I kept mashing its skull with the heavy boot, but the creature held tight. Let me go already! The ferret-looking creature finally caved after numerous hits. It howled and flew back into the darkness. Finally, I was able to pull myself up from the ravine. I huffed and sighed, looking at numerous burning red eyes gathering on the other side. My leg hurt, but since the creatures were still looking for a way to get over, I could. The thicket shook from a horrifying howl. I froze in place, goosebumps running down my spine. A giant, fat carcass moved behind the trees, watching me slowly. The bear had come for us again. I turned around and ran toward the house, my house with all I could. My house with all I could. It's his house now. My legs screamed in pain with every step. I needed to endure the pain. That's the only way for me to survive. Faster. Deafening, cracking sounds behind me spurred on. I could tell what was happening there without turning around. The bear was climbing through stakes, demolishing everything in its way. I couldn't run. Couldn't hide from it in the forest. It only had one thought in mind. Killing me. There was no way for me to save myself. No sturdy house or tricky traps around me. Only the forest. The trees around me whispered, gloating. Smaller and faster creatures almost caught up with me. They didn't dare touch me, afraid of their leader. They would be able to feast on my leftovers, though. clearing flashed to the right. The stream! I'm saved! Even if the creatures managed to cross the border, Arsonist still said that the water was cursed. It's my only chance. I only wished the stream would stall them for several seconds at the very least. Please. Cold water scalded my open wound. I gritted my teeth from pain but continued moving forward. The creature lurked in the bushes, afraid of coming out into the light. Will it stop the bear? I tried not to think about it. As soon as I got to the other bank, the forest moaned again, breaking under the beast's massive body. But then, when the bear was supposed to walk out to the stream, all sounds had disappeared. I held my breath. What is it going to do? Don't come here, don't come here, don't come here. The bear let out a deafening roar. I plugged my ears and got ready to die. It was going to lunge at me and... The noises disappeared, and the massive body ran somewhere to the right. All the other creatures followed it. Damn it. Seems like there's some sort of crossing there. Lured in by Yura, the creatures managed to find it and cross the border. I gritted my teeth and limped my way into the cabin's direction. Before the creatures get there, I needed to deal with the main beast and save Veronica. Come on, come on. I could already hear their voices. The low and hoarse one was talking, and the high-pitched one was crying. That piece of shit. What did he tell her? It's just the two of us now, Mika. Don't worry. We'll survive. We have a lot of food, and when the beasts leave, we'll be able to get to the village. Misha, how could that happen? I don't understand. Stay with me, and everything will be fine. Will it? Yura didn't even flinch. Just raised his hand that was holding a rifle. Scared, huh? Don't you want me to go outside and fight like a man? Outside? Can't you hear? Traps clanged somewhere in the distance. The cabin's walls shook. Misha, you brought half the forest here. Do you still want to go outside? Shut up. What did he tell you, Veronica? That she got mauled by the creatures. Is that so? And did he forget to mention how he left me to die? I stepped forward, but Yura raised the rifle as a warning. No sudden moves, Misha. The situation is difficult as it is already. Sharp claws scraped against the wall. The beasts poked their faces into the cracks and the windows, trying to see what was going on inside. You pushed me into the ravine. You left me there to die. And you kicked me out into the forest. Pretty much the same. And now, we're all going to die. The creatures won't calm down until they get their prey. Don't you worry. I clenched my fists. I'll have enough time to deal with you. Do you think you can get the better of me twice? He pointed the rifle at my chest. I'm sorry, Misha. I'd rather not do it in front of Veronica. So, how about you go outside by yourself? Sacrifice yourself for your wife's sake. Misha, don't worry, it's going to be okay. The rifle is not loaded. Yura looked at me in bewilderment, and Veronica used that opportunity to slap him in the face. I rushed towards him. Pain pierced my right leg. I screamed and flew to the floor, dragged Yura down with me. I hit him somewhere in the shoulder without looking. And again, and one more time. Yura howled and punched me in the nose. My vision turned black, but that didn't stop him. He showered me with punches. Yura grabbed me by the throat and slammed my head against the floor. I wanted to whoop your ass for so long now. He tightened his grip. You just couldn't shut up about that fucking deer. You always got in my way. I started waving my fists in desperation, but I was running out of strength. I just wanted to be happy. Yura went limp and fell to the side. Veronica stood behind him. She was clutching a skillet. He got on all fours, gasping for air, and crawled toward Yura. He was also trying to get up, but I was the first to act. A hit. Yura fell to the floor again. Let's go. I grabbed him by the collar and dragged him toward the door. Stop! Don't do it! I moved forward with determination. Yura tried to resist, but even he had less strength than me. No! Please! Misha! I kicked the door open. The forest replied with a hungry roar. Tens of red eyes stared at me. Take him! With my last bit of energy, I threw Yura forward. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus Christ. Well. As things go, that's probably well deserved. He tumbled down the porch straight into the darkness. Misha! Help me! Something grabbed him and dragged him toward the forest. Oh. Darkness purred in satisfaction. Save me, please! Yura clanged to the ground, trying to free himself, but the beast didn't let go. Misha! Nika! His screams were answered by the creature's howls. They watched from afar as the bear took its prey. I wanted to turn around, but I couldn't. The creature roared. I heard a horrifying cracking sound. Yura wailed, and that gave me the courage needed to move. I slammed the door shut. The bear finally got a taste of his prey outside. It felt like the nasty munching sounds were coming from everywhere. I wanted to cover my ears, to run far away, to hide. Anything but listen to Yura's dying agony on the other side of the door. Misha. I looked at my wife. Dejected, she stared at the door that, just moments ago, was stormed by dozens of creatures. The screams had finally died down. I needed to grab the rifle, but I couldn't move. Beastly grumbling outside was getting quieter and quieter. The monsters were gone. But why? A small wooden doll looked at me from the shelf. My arms became noodles. I grabbed the table to prevent myself from falling. You've saved us, Arsonic. I burst out laughing. He saved us, Nika. His amulet is working. It felt like she couldn't hear me. This is the end. On the contrary, it's only the beginning. Arsonic's sacrifice wasn't in vain. We could stay in the forest for as long as we want. We'll find the deer. Enough! Shut up! How dare you? You're Arsonic. I don't care. We need to move forward. Just give me time to catch my breath, and the first thing next morning I'll... No! Why are you like this? We're left alone now. We won't survive. But we will, with this amulet. No. She slumped to the floor, powerless. We came here as a family. We were happy. And now, when the forest took half of our group, you're laughing. Laughing. Because it doesn't matter. The deer is almost in our hands. We'll get into the beautiful tomorrow, and all our grievances will be gone. She simply looked at me, but it felt like the cabin became colder. Her eyes were completely empty, as if Arsonic had made another wooden doll and swapped it in place of my wife. We don't deserve happiness. The forest exposed that fact. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'll try to get to the village. Why? I don't get it. She completely ignored my words. You can go with me. I think it's the last chance for us to do anything together. But the deer... Nika sprang up and quickly went to Yura's bedroom. She stopped in front of the door. I hope you die, along with your deer. The door slammed shut, and I was left alone in the room. She can't be serious. She's just stressed out. She can't give up on the beautiful tomorrow. She loves me. I woke up. The same veil of fog enveloped the outside world. It's afternoon already. No matter how many times I tried to get up early, I always failed. I turned my head just like I did yesterday, and the day before that, and the week before that. I still couldn't believe she dumped me. Nika left and took the amulet with her. I was left locked up in the cabin. I used the rare calm days to check the nearest traps. They were all empty, of course. At any other time, I was driven inside by the creatures. I hadn't seen any of the big ones, thankfully, but sometimes I wished that I had. The bear would have granted me a swift death. I wasn't even angry at Nika for her betrayal. I just wanted her to come back. I could take anything. Starvation, those creatures, the forest, but without Nika, my life turned into pure torture. There was nobody who could support me. Nobody waited for me at home. I was left alone, trapped, surrounded by those creatures. Every day felt like a carbon copy of the previous one, and I didn't have enough courage to break the cycle. Until today. I haven't eaten anything in 2 days. I had no food, but I had lots of fuel. Good. Very good. I placed tinder in every corner. I chopped up all the furniture. I spilled all the flammable liquid I could find. I lighted up the fireplace and went outside. The cabin quickly caught fire. The forest was a big help today. It removed the fog, dried up the soil as best as it could. If there was something it was fond of, it was suffering. I watched as the flames consumed my dwelling, as they destroyed all the memories, both good and nasty. All my work, sweat and tears turned into nothing. But I wasn't sad. I couldn't feel anything. The roof fell down. I was done with my past. It was time for my future. I turned around and dragged my feet toward the thicket. The forest didn't seem dangerous anymore. It didn't feel like anything. Just trees, mold, and grass. There were still creatures lurking deep in the forest, but I didn't care. I hoped that I'd get eaten by one of them, and I won't need to jump at the stakes in that ravine. I gave up. Without fanfare and long pondering, I just accepted the fact that I'll never find the deer. It's impossible. The 4 of us came here to die. Nothing more. The 4 of us. I could hardly believe it now. By now. This place was too quiet for 4 people. In the cabin among the trees near the stream, the forest descended into complete silence. Now, when nothing could distract me anymore, I started thinking, where would the deer take us if we found it? We were so busy with chasing that beautiful tomorrow that we didn't really have the time to think about what it actually was. I never imagined it as a place, rather a future with Veronica. I could have built that future even here if I hadn't ruined everything. And in that place, what's there? The same endless forest? Is there anything out there? My legs carried me deeper into the forest, past the sprung traps and the torn nooses. There were no traps. There was no plan. There was no future. There was nothing. The fog dissolved. It shook its crowned head with royal grace and stepped onto the trail. Just like in my dream, the deer stared at me without blinking. This forest's king knew what I went through, and it mocked me. Without malice or cruelty, it was just having fun, watching an utter fool like me. In the end, it took pity on me and offered a way out. For the first time in a long while, hope bloomed in my heart. I walked up to the deer. Slowly, as if I was afraid to scare it away. The beast simply snorted and tilted its horned head in wait. I carefully reached out and put my palm on its neck. Its hide was rising with every breath, muscles under it tensed in anticipation. Flailing my legs in an awkward motion, I was able to get on top of the deer's back, and it started walking. With slow, measured steps at first, but then his gait became faster. Trees blurred into a single grey line. The sounds of its hooves felt like music to me. I couldn't help but smile. The deer stopped in its tracks, and I screamed in horror. Wow. I think the deer took him back to the cabin? Is that what I'm seeing here? Aesthetic dialect. Okay. Wow. That's a very unfortunate cut, but yeah. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Fairy deer. As unfortunate of a scenario as that group was left in, being stuck in this forest of danger, it's no wonder that a mythology, something like an infamous deer that could lead them to a brighter tomorrow, very interesting, and very much filled with despair. It's quite unfortunate, but it's the way things be sometimes. I think that, yeah, definitely the moral of the story is to not neglect the present, and to not, like, of course, looking forward to the future is important, but neglecting the present is just going to waste your life away if you do that. And yeah, the story was beautiful at times, but it's very, very unfortunate and sad ending that only after losing everything did he find the deer. His obsession over the deer, though, very irritating, but like he literally had a wife, and as soon as he got married, his thoughts were still, I'm going to find the deer. And yeah, he said, yeah, I'm going to find the deer for my wife, but that deer was everything, and that became his downfall immediately. Like, after a while, they should have just listened to Arsenic and just went back to a village or something. As Veronica was saying, people can live happy lives, even in the forest. So, yes, well, I think that is all now for Fairy Deer. Obviously, no choices in this game, so it's just straightforward story. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's quite an interesting story. I can't believe, yeah, I literally, before the bit where they, where Veronica, like, was in the water, like, it was just before that scene. That was the furthest I got up to before I stopped, like, a year or so ago. That's nuts. So I'm glad I got the chance to finish it. I want to play a visual novel with, like, multiple choice options available to me. So if you can think of any that you want me to play, or if you can think of a different game you would like me to give a shot at, let me know. Obviously, World End Economica will continue. I've decided to just probably do the double Fairy Deer upload to finish this series off. I'll continue playing World End Economica, but if there's another visual novel with actual like choices in it that you want to see me play, let me know. And of course, don't forget to check out the description and grab a copy of my book. I would appreciate that. And yep, well done to the developers for making this game. Great story. And yeah, I will see you all next time.